from Yes Queen channel. Thank you for watching this video. And in today's video, I am going to share my coming out story with my family and how they reacted. And not like, yes, I'm going to share my experience, but I'm also going to talk about, the case of the families, where they cannot come out to their families. And I would also like to share some advice, how you should react if your family comes out to you in the latter part of the video. So first I would like to talk about me coming out to my family, and in order to talk about that, I think I should begin with explaining my relationship with my family and how they see me, their impression of me. So first of all, my family is so loving, which I'm so grateful for. My parents always showed me love, and I have a good relationship with my siblings, and so I'm really grateful that I have a loving family. And so I moved abroad, and I moved to Ireland, and I studied at secondary school, which is like high school, and I studied at the university. So because I wanted to try living abroad since I was a child, and my family was very supportive to make that happen. So they're always supportive, and they know that I always follow my heart, and when I want something, I always make it happen. So their impression of me is that I always follow my heart. I always go for what I want. Anything can happen to Mary. So that's their impression of me. So my coming out story. First, when I realized that I like a girl, I told my mom over the phone, and I was a little bit nervous, but not too much. So when I told my mom over the phone, she showed me a concern, and her concern was not about me falling for a woman, but she was concerned, if I was studying for the exam, because the exam period was approaching, and I was a grad student at that time, So she was like, okay, I get it, but are you also studying for the exam? Are you prepared for the exam? Because you're like, oh, I like a girl, and just like this, just like that, blah blah blah, and it's okay, but make sure you're prepared for the exam too. So I was like, yes, mom. And yeah, in the end, exam went fine, so everything went fine. So then another family members, another situation, different girl whatsoever, but anyways, I was at the Disney Sea with my little sis, and I showed the picture of the person, and showed it to her and told her, so hey, this is the person that I like. And she was like, cool. And I was like, this is a woman. And she was like, yeah, I know. And I asked her, aren't you surprised? And she told me, anything can happen to you, Mary. So I was like, okay, cool. And my coming out story with my dad and my brother. We were eating at the restaurant, and again, like I did to my sister, I showed the picture of a woman to them. And I told them, hey, so this is the woman that I like. And they were like, they asked me, is this a woman? And I was like, yes. And they were like, cool. So that's it. So in the end, it was more like I was surprised by the way they weren't surprised. So I'm very fortunate that I have a very understanding and supporting family, and they accept me for who I am. For example, when I brought my girlfriend to my hometown, I was nervous, because it was my first time to introduce my girlfriend to my family. So we all gathered together, my parents, my siblings, and me, my girlfriends, and we had dinner together, and they actually got on really well, and I was very happy. They were totally fine with it, they were totally cool with it. And we even went for the trip together. We sometimes hang out, we go for dinner, we go to the concerts and all. It's really nice that they get on well, so nice, and they treat my girlfriend like their family. They're really loving people. However, we had kind of a fallout once. We had some arguments. It was the time that I told my parents that I want to marry my girlfriend. They showed me a concern regarding the relationship, because they know that I always want to be a mom. I always want a baby. And it's true, in Japan it's very difficult if you are not married, and same-sex marriage is not allowed still in Japan. So technically, same-sex couple cannot get married in Japan. So the situation is that if you're not married, it's very difficult for you to have a child. So they told me that we know that you always wanted to be a mom, you always wanted to have a baby, and it's going to be like almost impossible if you marry her. And I was a bit shocked, because at that time they already know my girlfriend, they had a really good relationship, so I thought they would be supportive immediately, but they cared about my dream. So we had some arguments, really big arguments, and I told them, like the technology is getting better and it's getting easier for people like me to have a baby. And I'm really happy with her. So in the end, they understood that, like I'm very happy with my girlfriend, and if that makes me happy, they understand and they support my decision. And also, like when my girlfriend told my parents that, like she want to marry me and she's going to take care of me for the rest of her life, they respected it. They were like, they see how happy I am with her, and they see how I've changed so much after being with her. Like she changed me in a very positive way, and they appreciate it, so they respect our decision. So it's really nice of them that they're so understanding. And yeah, so I'm very grateful that I have a very supporting and understanding family. I'm truly grateful for that. However, I also know that it can be very difficult for some family to accept that, their family is LGBTQ+. So one of the example would be my friend, who is totally cool with me being a woman, told me that I have no problem with you being with a woman, but if my sister comes up to me and tells me that she likes a woman, it's going to be a problem. So I was a bit shocked, and I asked her why, and she said, it's none of my business, whether you being with a man or a woman, but if my sister decides to be with a woman, it's going to be my business. I do mind. So first I would like to tell people, if you're watching this and if you are like LGBTQ+, even if you're not accepted by your family, please stay true to yourself. Please be who you really are, because even if you're not accepted by your family because of who you really are, I'm sure like there are always people who accept you for who you really are. And if you find it difficult to find somebody to talk to, you're always welcome here. You can always talk about your issues here. Like I'm always here. We can always talk about anything here. And for family members, I could share some advice. So for the family members who kind of wonder, one of my family could be LGBTQ+. First of all, please don't force them to come out, because this is not the topic that people should be forced to talk about. And if they want to come out, they'll come out to you when the time is right. So meantime, please just be there for them. And when they're ready, they'll come out to you. And for the family members who were caught by a surprise, who they didn't expect their family to be LGBTQ+, I understand it could be very difficult to accept it. For example, you might wish that your child has a baby, and you can have like a grandchildren, you can have a grandchild, or you care about the reputation and so on. I understand it could be very difficult. For you, it could take time, but even little by little, I would like you to try to listen to them, try to open up. I would like you, both of you, to communicate with each other to have a better understanding, because for example, my girlfriend is in the closet even with her family. Although her family is very amazing, like they're really nice people, but she just cannot come out. And she tells me that it's very difficult to lie about herself, you know, lie about her identity, to hide her identity to her family. So like seeing, you know, the person that I love suffering because she has to be in the closet hurts me as well. So although I'm very fortunate because I can come out to my family, I also see that it can be very difficult, you know, if you are in the closet, if you cannot talk about it with your family, it can be very difficult, you know. So try to understand that it's very difficult for them as well. But if you try to communicate with them, that action could lead to their own happiness. And also, like, another advice would be maybe you can try to find some other family who has LGBTQ plus members. You know, maybe you can talk to them and you can ask, you know, how they dealt with the situation. And also, like, as usual, like, if you have any experience you coming out to your family, or you having a family member coming out to you, I would like to share your stories here, how you dealt with it, you know, what happened, any advice, you know, share your stories and share your support here. So thank you very much for watching the video. And again, I would appreciate if you subscribe to this channel. So thank you very much and see you very soon.